Hey everybody, I thought I would let you know that we recorded this episode in late October, and since then, the American Ornithological Society has announced plans to change all English bird names currently named after people within its geographic jurisdiction. So we actually do talk about bird names and bird club names in this episode, but I thought I'd give you a heads up that we will dive way more into this topic when we are all back together and recording future episodes. Enjoy! Welcome to Life List, a birding podcast.
Hello. Welcome, everybody. We are Life List, a birding podcast. I'm George Armistead here with Molly Brown and Alvaro Jaramillo. Guys, how you doing today?
Hello.
Hey, doing good. I jumped on and you all were both deep in conversation on different tabs talking about gulls, and it was fun to just listen in a little bit.
Alvaro was schooling me. He was schooling me on some stuff. It's good.
I don't know. I'm not sure I was schooling anybody. Just I think it's that pre-gull season emotion that was taking us over. Thinking about all the really boring-looking brown gulls that we might see during the rest of the winter.
Sounded like you were really feeling it.
Yeah, feeling the gull emotion.
The herring gulls are on the move here today. Seeing flocks.
So they do move there, huh? Like in the east, sort of coastal areas, you do find like there's a migration. You have more in the winter than you have in the summer.
Oh yeah,
okay.
Herring gulls pretty much vanish from here in the summer, like in Philadelphia proper. I'm talking about, and even along the coast. They nest, but the big numbers are in the winter. Yeah.
Yeah, I figured as much, but I didn't realize that it was so visible. Like
they migrate visibly along the Delaware River. Now, sometimes sometimes it's very clear they're just kind of wandering from roost to feeding area and just kind of being nomadic. But you see these kind of squadrons. They look like big brutes, little, motorcycle gangs. You wouldn't want to mess with them.
How about you, Molly? Do you get gull movements up where you are, or just basically no gulls? How's it work?
Well, ring-billed gulls will trigger a rare bird alert here for a good part of the year. But yeah, in the winter, it's the only time you'd see herring gulls or some ring-billed gulls, like, period. So as far as movement, I mean, yes, it's movement, but it's just because we only have them in the winter. And for anything beyond that, it's typically dependent on what it's like on the Great Lakes and how far things are getting pushed down.
I remember being at New River Gorge in spring a couple of years ago, and like I think 3 or 4 times I thought I was hearing laughing gulls way up high overhead.
Wow.
And I was like, I wonder if there's like some little migrant flocks, laughing gulls, and they're just so high. Don't know.
Well, I
don't know.
Yeah.
You know how a lot of people listen to music, and the music that really resonates with them is their teenager years of music. I think birders, if you've been birding for a long time, what's abundant or what you grew up as a birder thinking was truth is what you stay with. And to me, herring gulls one of those. Like in the Great Lakes, herring gulls are around all the time. There's herring gulls all the time, ring-billed gulls all the time. Then now here to see herring gulls as migrants that only come in winter seems so wrong to me. Like they should be here all the time. But western gull is our all the time gull, not herring. But it's funny, and to think everybody grows up with a different reality of their birds. What moves in, what's common, what isn't, and then we kind of get stuck with that as you grow up as a birder, I think. Especially if you move.
Yeah. Yeah, I live close to where I grew up, so don't have that experience from moving. You know, one thing that I have loved my entire life, and it really does move me, is just watching a big flock of Canada geese fly by.
Oh yeah.
I can never get over that.
I
And
love
I've
seeing
enjoyed
them
that
on the
my
move.
whole life. Yeah. Okay, good. I appreciate some validation.
Well, especially now that we've kind of got like the golf course ones that are just like, they hardly ever move. And now every now and
Right.
then, yeah, you see like we see like a flock going over, and like right around now, like late October, November, you're like, these are real migrants.
Yeah. Yeah, they're real wild ones. Yeah,
Mhm.
my grandma always talks about like when they first started coming in and seeing them on the farm regularly. And now there's a pond out there on my family's farm that they're in all year round and they nest and everything. But yeah, still love that feeling. And this time of year, I'm feeling it.
What I thought was interesting was in a meeting somewhere else. I was talking to Erica Knoll, who's a biologist, Canadian biologist, and Canada geese came up, and she said that some of the golf course park geese from cities in Ontario that have been tracked are going like north, basically to the subarctic to molt, and then they're coming back south. And I thought, wow, like even these things that we think of as like nearly feral are acting in a completely wild way at a certain time in their life. And that kind of blew my mind. I had no idea. Maybe I'm getting the
That's so cool.
distances wrong, but it's just the concept.
It's like the migrant house finches we have in the East now. It's like,
right. You can't take the bird out of the bird.
that's right.
Well said.
Speaking of which, I've got this Cooper's hawk right now. That's right behind my feeder. He's in the middle of the bushes. Like I've watched him slowly sneak into the depth of the bushes, right 2 feet from the feeder. And there's no bird around, no house finch. But I think he's just going to sit there, wait till it fills up, and then try his luck.
These crafty little devils.
I know. Oh, now he's on the ground.
Hey, do you guys know what my most recent yard bird is? Let me tell you. No, you do know what my latest yard bird is because you were there when I saw it.
Oh yeah, what was that?
It was
what it was.
It was a Nashville warbler.
Nashville.
Oh yeah.
Man, I was excited about that. It's like we were getting ready to record, and I'm like looking out the window and see some movement right in this flower, this perennial bed that we'd put in that I've been talking about all the time. And a Nashville came into some goldenrod, started picking away for bugs. And I mean, it's kind of an overdue one for the yard list here, but hadn't had it before, That was the first new one I'd had while we were on the call.
On the call. Well, I had a new yard bird yesterday, rose-breasted grosbeak, and it's been coming in just before we started. So maybe it'll come in while I'm talking to you all.
You're still trying to get your underwing shot?
I just got one.
Oh, you did?
It looks rosy red.
Beauteous.
Trying to make sure it's not a hybrid. That's with the black-headed grosbeak, which does happen in the West. Eastern folks never think about hybrid grosbeaks, but Western folks have to think about that.
So I wanted to update you guys also on something that I have done in the yard here. I feel like Molly will appreciate this in particular. Kristen has done a couple of forages for pawpaw.
Ooh.
Yeah. And she came home with 20 pawpaw fruits. Only a couple of them were ripe and ready to eat. The others were mostly past prime. But we have planted 50 seeds of pawpaws in different places, and we're trying to start a couple little pawpaw patches in the yard.
That's so much fun.
Yeah, which my goal is it would take a couple years, obviously, for these to get going. We do have a couple little saplings that somebody gave us; those might get going sooner. But I'd like to get enough where we can make some pawpaw ice cream with maybe some Heath bars. I think that'd be real good. Yeah,
that's an awesome goal.
I think so.
That's really cool. I've got some pawpaws planted, and I got them from someone local here that was giving away some saplings, I think just last year. And he said that they like a lot of shade when they're young, and that they need full sun once they're established for a few years. So that ideally you're doing that. So I have got just 4 planted. But I've got just like shade cloth that's kind of, stuck up on posts that's shading them right now. And I suppose in the next year or 2, I'll pull it out. But yeah, they seem to be doing well. I love pawpaws.
Yeah, me too.
What is pawpaw exactly?
It is North America's largest indigenous edible fruit.
Whoa, way to be ready with that.
Well, it's such a cool thing. It's in the soursop, Guanabana sweet sop family of plants, and it's the only one that's not tropical, I think, basically.
Guanabana.
Ba-ba-da-da-da.
Guanabana.
Ba-ba-da-da.
We could go all day, couldn't we?
This is our new theme song.
So it is basically like a tropical fruit that's gone temperate. And it's only in the southeast, right? So are you sort of marginal? Like
they get up to Ontario. So yeah, it's sort of that eastern. I feel like Appalachian into the Piedmont a bit.
So they get onto Ontario?
Yeah,
I should know this.
Yeah, I was going to say it's almost in your neck of the woods.
It's probably like 2 plants. It's sort of like the, Point Pelee has the cacti. It's got like the prickly pear, and there's these tiny microscopic cacti on the edge of the beach, and you're like, there you go, Eastern Canada's only cactus, and you're like, that's it.
Now I don't know how many Louisiana water thrushes there are nesting in southern Ontario, but I'll bet you that's where the pawpaw is.
Yeah, they're around.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. We have a pawpaw festival just down the street from here.
Oh, man, might have to do that.
But honestly, I've not been to. There's actually, I think there's a pawpaw festival somewhere in southern Ohio that a friend in DC drove over to it, and they were passing through town a couple years ago, and it sounded even cooler than the festival here. It sounded like more of a hippie festival. It sounded pretty fun over in Ohio.
That's more Alvaro's crowd, yeah.
No.
But yeah, I haven't been, but I love pawpaws.
Custard apple is another in that group. If folks don't know what it tastes like, it's like if you kind of smushed a mango and a banana together. That's kind of what the flavor's like. Some people do not like pawpaw. Like my mom thinks it's disgusting that we're trying to do this. She thinks like, we should be run out of town. She is anti-pawpaw. So
we have our festival here is the Pumpkin Festival in Half Moon Bay, and this year we had the world record heaviest pumpkin.
I saw a photo of that.
They're ugly, those big pumpkins, but
not pretty.
Big. No, there's also a prize for the prettiest pumpkin. That's fine. That's better. Because kids probably go away crying after they see the big pumpkin. Thinking, this is awful. What have you done to the pumpkin? You messed it up. About pawpaw though, it's the name like indigenous, like a native name, or is it something else?
I have always assumed that it is a native name. Let's see.
I feel like I want to try this.
One of the things they say is that they think it derives from the Spanish papaya because there's superficial similarities.
So you had like a Spanish guy who stuttered.
Yeah, maybe.
He was pointing to the pawpaw tree, and then.
It is a very fun name, I must say. I think it's very fun to talk about pawpaw. People raise an eyebrow,
Mm-hmm.
But it's cool, like big native fruit right near here. The seeds are really big. I think it's a tasty thing. I did have a friend of mine made some pawpaw pudding. We've discussed some of my less preferred foods in the past on this podcast. I would say that it is a rare pudding that I find enjoyable. And so it was more or less with the pawpaw pudding. It was okay, but it wasn't. I'd rather eat the fruit itself, and I can imagine that pawpaw ice cream would be very, very, very good. But I'm generally pretty anti-pudding, and this is not where I would go with the pawpaw.
I like how George has stances on food.
No kidding.
It's interesting. Has anybody made beer infused, sort of like local IPA with a little pawpaw?
That sounds amazing.
I like that.
Pawpaw sour?
Yes. That's a good idea. I feel like that needs to happen.
That seems like it would work, because if you're telling me it has a little papaya-ish kind of fruity,
more mango, I would say.
Mango.
Yeah.
Mango. Yeah. Sounds like it could work. Somebody do this.
It's brilliant.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I had pineapple in my fried rice a couple nights ago and thought about you both.
Oh God, Molly. I don't know.
That sounds good.
I worry about you sometimes.
Got to try things.
I don't know.
Got to get out of your comfort zone, George.
Well, that would succeed in that goal. Yeah.
Discomfort, George.
I like pineapple too.
Yeah,
I just think
you're the opposite of curious, George. You're like the not so curious, George. Like, stay away, George.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Where were we?
I don't know. I'm thinking about pineapple now.
Yeah. Well, Alvaro, what have you been seeing besides rose-breasted grosbeaks?
So what has been exciting around here, and I won't talk that much about pelagics because they've been very exciting, and I think I've talked a lot about them throughout the season. But this year we had this, and we may have talked about it earlier, that there was a movement of Clark's nutcrackers out in Montana or somewhere that was like birds were just streaming out from the north and from the mountains. And this Clark's nutcracker thing it had the inkling of these birds are going to go everywhere because they have no food. And then we started getting signs that they were landing in parts of California where they shouldn't be, including eventually Monterey County, which is south of us. And the thought was like, oh boy, like they're within reach of us, these nutcrackers. And for some reason, one day here that had a really good sort of migratory push, but also sort of east winds. Some of the folks were in San Francisco were just watching for migration from the north, and they had nutcrackers that day in the morning, and they posted them. And I said, I'm going to go up to the ridge right above my house, and went up there. Actually, there were three of us that ended up there watching this just movement of all sorts of stuff. We had all of the goldfinches, including Lawrence's, land. They landed right beneath us, and siskins, red crossbills, hundreds of bandtail pigeons, tens of fairy thrushes, and I was looking the other way, and it came right at me, like boom, a Clark's nutcracker. Right over, and all three of us got to see it. And apparently it may be the first documented record, with some evidence for our county. And we feel like it's just the start of this winter invasion. And I heard there was one in Wisconsin.
Yes. Yeah, there's one in Wisconsin, and it looks like another in Minnesota.
Yeah.
There's been a few
everywhere. And my thought, actually, with the way it happened originally, is that the ones that we saw that day were coming in from the south. Like they'd actually they went down south in the mountains, California, crossed in the mountains, the transverse mountains, sort of in LA area. And then they started filtering northwards, almost like, water filling up, the low points, these nutcrackers just filling up montane areas all over the West looking for food. And I just think it's sort of the start, and we're going to find nutcrackers there's been one in Yuma, Arizona, down in the desert somewhere. Just crazy. They're just a huge, not unprecedented, but one of the first in modern times, real movements of Clark's nutcrackers, with some pinyon jays also moving well out of their range. So food is scarce somewhere. So I was really excited to be, I don't know, just made that call of like going up there, and only 3 of us, and we all just had an amazing view of this Clark's nutcracker flying over. Just legend, Boom.
Wow.
Such a cool bird.
Yeah, it's a great bird for that experience too.
Yeah. It's not a least flycatcher. I mean, with all due respect, but it's like this gaudy thing with white and big long beak, and wow. It was still. I mean, I did. My heart went crazy. Like it started racing when
got one of those adrenaline rushes.
Bird, yeah, just incredible. Like I felt like I was on a drug or something. It was, I'm on birds right now. It was so exciting because I think the buildup of the potential, we were all talking about it. This could be our day, and then it was our day. I just couldn't believe it. Like, what's the chance of that, happening? It's just luck.
Man, that's awesome. It'd be cool if we got a few more in the east, or towards the east.
Yeah. Have there been southern eastern or eastern records? I mean, I imagine they've gotten to northwestern Ontario at least, but
yeah, they have gotten into northwestern Ontario. It looks like there's a southern Ontario record. And yeah, near Detroit, Alice Street, Essex. Aside from that, now I'm looking at what look like a couple different Alabama records.
Really?
Let's see what these are. One near Talladega National Forest from 2002 in May. Well, it was April and May of 2002. Seen and photographed by folks. That's a tough one to explain. And then there was another one in Alabama in 2019. Aside from that, pretty Spartan east, anywhere in the east. There's none east of the Appalachians in eBird.
That I think there's theories. Well, there was one clear-cut thing that they have no food, so the cone crops, whatever they rely on, and I don't know exactly what trees they rely on, must be empty. But there's another theory too that maybe in the previous winter, in some parts of their range, the snow levels were so high that they may have lost a lot of their winter cache. So whatever they hid in the fall was just not available to them. Because it was unprecedented how much snow there was. So there might be like a two situations, kind of perfect storm that created this. But I don't know if any of it is true. It sort of makes logical sense once I heard about it. And red-breasted nuthatches, they've been moving south. The red crossbills have been kind of going a little haywire this year, moving south. There's been other things that are cone related that have moved south or out of the Rocky Mountains somewhere. So I would be, if I was on the east, Midwest to east, I'd be kind of just have an ear open for something that sounds rather weird to your local ears, like a nutcracker would.
Yeah.
West Virginia sounds like the place.
Yeah, it's true, actually, right? Yeah. Could be.
Yeah.
Look at those white pines.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this could be the year. West Virginia's had a ton of first state records and birds with few state records. It's been really, really fun here over the past couple years. It feels like the birding community's really building and getting more avid and excited and just communicating more. And it's a lot of fun to go out and look for stuff here right now. And talked to folks about it. There's a lot of people excited and tracking things down. We finally got a Limpkin. That's been the news. Yeah. So
I don't know if you guys saw there was a Limpkin that was photographed by a non-birder in their yard about 5-7 miles from my house about 3-4 days ago. Like walking on the ground in their yard. Like,
wow.
It's one of those rest stop Limpkins.
Yeah. If you hadn't filled your, gotten rid of your lawn and put in all those native plants, you too might have a Limpkin.
I need to get the apple snail pond going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm ready for winter birding. See what we get. It's not even November yet. It's about to be a good month to find some stuff.
Yeah, it's my favorite time of year. Late October through the end of the year. I love it.
I got a stealth vagrant story that I was not involved in, but heard about it. In Monterey County, they have the Salinas water treatment plant, which is not open to the public. Like, you have to get a permit. So you, as a birder, if you live there, you can get this permit and go to this water treatment plant, but you can't just have anybody go there. You have to have the paperwork done. And somebody found a juvenile common ring plover out there, right? Which looks very much like a semi-palmated plover.
It's a tough pull.
And really tough find. And then I forget exactly, like, is it the same afternoon or the next day, other birders went looking for common ring plover and found a second one in the same pond that was an adult. And then they were actually able to see both, photograph both, and record, or at least hear both, to make sure that they were common ring plovers. And the thought, sort of the talk was like, if two can be in one pond, an adult and a juvenile, do you know how many of these are in the US or Canada that nobody is seeing?
Yeah.
And it's like, it all opens your mind to the
I think there were,
like, really looking carefully.
I think there were 2 found in New York this year, if I remember right.
Really?
I think so.
Wow. Yeah, incredible.
Yeah. When was that, Alvaro?
I want to say it was like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
Something like that. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I know that the second one, I forget who found the first, but the second one, Steve Tucker, was one of the birders who was there. He was with another birder, but I forget who it was, but he was telling me part of that story. And so many birds out there that
fly right under the radar.
Right. And oh gosh, another cool story from Monterey. A broad-billed hummingbird is seen Monterey County, very rare, right? Away from in California. And they saw that it had a band on it, and they could read the band. And it had been banded a few days earlier at Marin County in California by the Point Reyes people, the Point Blue folks. So it had actually moved within the state, same bird, young male, and went south from its original point of being found. It's one of the few sort of vagrants that have been tracked in one way or the other. I thought that was pretty neat, especially a hummingbird. You could read a band on a hummingbird, So, things are happening in Monterey.
Yeah, I think I was just looking at the common ring plovers. Looks like there's 2 different ones, I think, found on Fire Island, if I've got this right. Pretty bizarre. It does. That's one I think we've all thought, man, those things are flying under the radar. I would love to find one. There's a spot in Jersey where I'm like, man, I have seen big numbers of semi-plovers, and I just need to get there at the right time of year and spend some time.
And you'll be famous.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Molly, what are you seeing in West Virginia?
Oh, I was afraid you were going to ask me that, because as much as I hate to say it, I haven't been birding that much lately. I've just been working a lot.
Sure, we were both in Cape May last week. So.
That's right. So yeah, the most hours I've put in birding lately were over a long weekend in Cape May. And yeah, besides hanging out with you, I kind of stuck to birding on my own each morning because I just haven't been birding, and that sounded great. So that worked out really well. Man, Cape May. Someone was asking me, who wasn't from the U.S., why birders come to Cape May, because there aren't like unique birds to see there species-wise. And it's just got to be a place that you have to experience to understand what it's like to see the number of birds. And of course, there's all sorts of things that you can find that are extremely rare there, but just I've not felt birds in the same way that I have there. Just like the number of merlins and sharp-shinned hawks and Cooper's hawks. And
how about that tree swallow flock?
And yeah, that's what I was going to say. The tree swallow, I don't know. That's probably the craziest singular bird experience that I've felt. Yeah, after George and I had hung out, we were just meeting up with folks for lunch back at the convention center, and it was kind of storming off and on. And there are, I mean, literally tens of thousands of tree swallows. I know a lot of folks have seen these pictures, but man, I just pulled over as rain was hitting and they all came down on the beach for a few minutes and was just standing in an absolute swarm of them. It was so, so cool.
Yeah, you hit it just right.
Yeah, I'm so glad I pulled over. I got soaked. It just dumped rain. So it was totally worth it. That was amazing.
Yeah, Kristen hit that flock last year at the festival. Sort of similar to you. She ended up walking by herself in the dunes, and they just kind of, every now and then they start to get kind of low in, I don't know if they're picking off bugs in the goldenrod or if they actually can eat the fruits of those wax myrtle bayberries, or I'm not sure what they're doing exactly, but then they just start swirling. It's sort of these like cascading swirls, and it's just, I mean, thousands of them. Yeah. And she can't stop talking about that experience still to this date. And we saw that group of birds, I think, just before you did, but they were still a little bit higher up. They hadn't quite come down. And and then we got honked at, actually, because somebody honked
at us. Yeah. Well, we were stopped at that stoplight. You were in front of me. Yeah. And I was looking behind me. And it looks like a tornado touching down or something as they start spiraling. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. I was wondering if you all were looking at it too. Yeah, I pulled over.
I took a little bit of video, but it was not quite the situation you had, which was nuts.
You should get like a honk if you like tree swallows bumper sticker.
For a minute, I thought it was Molly.
So appropriate there.
I was like, Molly just honk at us? Does she see these tree swallows?
And then just friendly wave to them. Yeah, me too. We also love tree swallows. It's like, no, I'm honking because I want you to get out of the way. Oh.
Yeah, Cape May's pretty great. Just seeing, so much duck variety and shorebirds and whatnot. And it was super windy, but it was otherwise pleasant to be out. It wasn't like looking for ducks here as it will be in a couple months and freezing rain across the big lake and just looking at a small handful typically. So I really got my fix last weekend. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's nice. We overlapped there for a night. We had 3 nights down there, and it was like nothing crazy, but just nice migration, and just a nice place to be with a great bunch of people. I really enjoyed going to the kickoff night of the festival, which is a festival folks should, if you haven't been, would be well worth doing. It's October's peak migration in Cape May, and the festival, there's a bunch of just fun, interesting people around, and then you got all the birds and the bird walks and the exhibits area. A really good time, but it was like I haven't been to many other festivals recently, and I was like, man, there's a lot of people here like I haven't seen in a long time. A lot of cool booths to check out, artists and optics and all sorts of stuff. So, and Koa was actually sponsored the kickoff party, So Koa Sport Optics. So I saw our buddy Jeff Boughton there, and Frank, and a bunch of other folks. So it's good to see the Koa team there too.
Yeah. I swung by in the convention hall. Another thing too at these festivals, the vendor areas typically are open to the public, and there's a lot of things that you can just get in and see. So if you ever happen to be in the area, even if you're not registered for the festival, you can still get a taste of all of this. But a lot of the folks, like I think actually the majority of vendors that were at this festival I've worked with in one way or another for Nighthawk. So this is a great way for me to just go meet with people in person and sit down and talk about marketing projects and that sort of thing. But one thing I wanted to bring up on this podcast, first off, one of the vendors there was Laura Wolf, who is such a fantastic artist. I brought a piece of her art home that are like fantastic puns. Did you look at her stuff, George? She had a whole wall of just puns and art. And she was selling all the originals.
Oh, wow.
I don't have mine within arm's reach, but it's a Sawet owl that says like I came, and then there's a picture of the Sawet, and then it says I conquered. So that's going to go up in the cabin. I spent a long time choosing which one to get. They're such very, very entertaining.
Nice.
But chatting about this and that, Laura and I were talking about somehow birding hotspots came up, and just the conversation of like, if you're visiting this place, what's it like to visit these different hotspots, that sort of thing. I think we were talking about it because I was saying something to the effect of, there are so many people that know their way around Cape May. I'm not one of those people. I've only been there a couple times, so I don't actually know like which hotspots to go to beyond the main ones. And you know, there are tons and tons of hotspots if you just look at eBird, and they all have a high species count. So it's really hard to tell like which ones are the ones that have good parking areas and a little trail or that sort of thing. So I think that's how we got started talking about it. But my point of all this is that the conversation came up that there are all these individual or small scale efforts to write about this kind of stuff for birding hotspots. Like, what's it like? Where do you park? Are there trails? Is, this part off limits? That sort of thing. I've had this conversation with a few folks. West Virginia statewide Brooks Bird Club is kind of looking at doing something like this and pulling together just information that complements eBird data on how to get to different hotspots in the state. And recently, I think on Red Polling, someone shared this birdinghotspots.org, which is a website that's doing just that. And it's totally worth checking out. You can contribute to it. I sent it to you guys before this, so I think you got to take a look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says discover tips, descriptions, maps, and images for thousands of eBird hotspots. Birdinghotspots.org. Really?
We have a similar thing just for our county. It would be great to almost see if we could roll it all together somehow without losing, I guess, some control over, because folks here have spent a lot of time putting this one together, but it'd be great to get it out in a central repository, if you want to call it that. That'd be cool. Very useful.
It is. I've seen this come up on like probably the eBird Facebook support group, that sort of thing. Like I see folks ask for this sort of feature within eBird sometimes. And it makes sense to me that it's not there. Like that's not eBird's purpose, so to speak. But it also makes sense that it should exist somewhere else, and that you should know like which counties or which areas do have this sort of information and that sort of thing.
Yeah. And in the rare bird kind of alerts often, or somebody reports something, they always have this assumed knowledge of how you go to this spot or what you do. And for a newer birder, I know there's that idea of like, I don't want to ask somebody, how's this work? What's this place like? So it'd be great to have this place where you could just check it out yourself and then make your plan on how to visit.
It's cool too. It's got interactive maps where you can click on a county or a state and see all the hotspots there. Some of them even have imagery of the site itself. Nice.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. Yeah. One way or another, the information's really helpful. even my last morning, I went over to Higbee Beach in Cape May, which is a very popular place. There were lots of groups there. I was really thankful that there were also a couple of the birding, the festival like field trips were out, because there were people walking through fields, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that field was part of this. I didn't know I could go over there. So
Yeah.
that sort of information is really helpful. I think about that a lot in these parts.
It was funny to me also, Molly, that as a little aside here, during the festival, Molly and I were like trying to figure out where to meet up. So me, her, and Kristen, I was like, let's go to the Beanery, And I was like, there'll probably be some other bird walks going on. It's festival weekend. And we got there, and it's like 10 in the morning or something on the Friday of the festival weekend.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at that hot spot, I don't remember where it ranks nationally, but it's probably pretty high. I was like, this is like one of the best birding hot spots, in the country, really. It's 10 a.m. on the Friday of the festival weekend, and we were the only 3 people there, which was, it was just funny. It goes to show you can go someplace that's really great for birding sometimes and still kind of have the place to yourself at times.
Yeah. Which, granted, says it's restricted access on eBird, and there is some sort of restriction there, right?
That's true. That it's, and I think this was not well enforced until recently. But if you have a New Jersey Audubon or a Cape May Bird Observatory membership, one or the other or both, it's free access. Otherwise, you're supposed to get one in order to be able to access that area. I don't know how strictly it's enforced, but that is...
Mm-hmm. See, this is why we need this website.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Wow. It was really fun to catch up with so many people. And like you said, festivals are great just to meet a lot of really awesome birders and friends that you end up seeing, a couple times a year or less. So that was all really fun this weekend.
Hey, another thing I wanted to raise that we were kind of talking about was that there's been a lot of talk about Audubon, National Audubon Society, John James Audubon's quote-unquote legacy. And now, National Audubon has declined, I believe, to change their name for the time being. We'll see if they stick with that. But there are a number of larger Audubon state, I think, and local chapters across the country that are changing their names. And 3 of the larger ones, including Detroit, I think Chicago, Madison, Wisconsin, all announced that they will be called the Bird Alliance moving forward. And it sounds like there may be other Audubon groups doing the same thing, which I think we're all thinking that's a pretty good idea.
Was this like a joint announcement? Did they make this plan together?
I think so, right? Like,
locally here, all the Audubons that are changing their names are doing it all independently
to different names.
Even, they're actually going through a process of figuring out what name they want to use, but they're not necessarily doing anything jointly here, anyways.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the ones in the Midwest. I would guess there was some collaboration. Just because they're fairly proximal to one another.
Well, I ask this for personal interest because I have started having this conversation, and the local Audubon chapter here, Mountaineer Audubon, is starting to talk about this. And I said I would provide some input on it. And then I realized I don't actually know how clubs are going about this change. Is it continuing their affiliation with National Audubon? And what exactly does changing a name entail for these clubs? So I was actually, maybe even before this episode comes out, I might post on Facebook and ask about this, because it's also not easy to see who all has changed their name. So I've been trying to figure out, like, has anybody put together some sort of blueprint on how to do this and outlined the reasons they chose to?
I think, as I understand it, the chapters are changing their names, and National Audubon is fine with that, and they're retaining the umbrella of National Audubon and state Audubons, but there hasn't been a go-to as far as like what these clubs are calling each other. And as I think Seattle first became Birds Connect Seattle, and then some of the other ones have now become Bird Alliance. So Golden Gate Bird Alliance for the Golden Gate Audubon here locally. There is some, I guess, thought that it'd be great for many of them to coalesce around a name that means something, that is kind of brandable. And my thought is right now that the Birds Connect didn't quite connect with a lot of people, and the Bird Alliance seems to be the one that is catching on.
Yeah, I mean, that's at least 4.
I love that name.
Yeah, I like it too. And there's at least 4 major groups that have signed on. It sounds like more moving in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
And keep in mind too that there are some organizations that are Audubons that are not part of Audubon, right?
Oh yes,
true.
Yes. Yeah.
So I don't
There's an
know
Audubon vet clinic down the road here.
Oh no, but even bird clubs like Mass
yeah.
Audubon and New Jersey Audubon, aren't they independent?
I think Connecticut too. Yeah, those are independent. They're not. Yeah. I mean, some of them actually do kind of collaborate, but some of them, like Mass Audubon's completely independent, and New Jersey Audubon as well. So yeah, be interesting to see how that all evolves.
Yeah, it's interesting. What do you all think about the? Gosh, it's like we decide somebody like Audubon had their time and maybe is not such a great face for birding, and we change the name of the Audubons and so forth. But there's a lot of people out there that say that, with even the stuff they did and all the warts and mess, whatever, they're still a historical figure of importance, and you shouldn't change the name to suit, current thought. Do you think there's are we really rewriting history, or are we just not giving prime time to a certain person within our history? How do you see all this? Because it's interesting to me. Like, there's a lot of validity to a lot of arguments, even if you disagree with the person.
Ooh, big question.
Yeah, that's a biggie.
A couple thoughts I have on this. I think Audubon's a little tricky because I think in a lot of ways it's not even, it's almost used as like an adjective or a common noun to describe something related to birds. Like, that's become so entwined with birding. And like this vet clinic, I'm not actually sure how they got the name Audubon. I don't know if that's a common thing or not. I don't think that's any homage to John James Audubon. It's just, I'm assuming a choice that was made for, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but it's not a bird. It's like a small pet, typical little vet clinic. But yeah, so I do think that there's some nuance there in how the word specifically Audubon is used. What I do think, as in sort of general terms, is that education and understanding of the implications behind a name is really important. And I don't know how you keep the name Audubon in a bird club while ensuring that you are providing that educational aspect. And I'm not just talking about a page on the website that has some acknowledgement of this, but really understanding the implications of it. So that's kind of where I come to the conclusion that removing the name it is a valid way to do that. And in that's your opportunity to educate on why.
Yeah. There's like so many figures within the history of ornithology that have been forgotten. And we chose to have a few of them be remembered. And I do feel like still, if you're interested in the history of ornithology, all of those forgotten names are still there. And all of the minor players and major players are all still there. You can go look that up if that's your thing. But should we have somebody rise to sort of in a superstar level, given that they have a lot of complex and really difficult history? That's the part where I think, I mean, you're not erasing history. The history's still there. Nothing has changed. You just aren't elevating this certain one person or two or three or whatever they are. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And we know more now, like I think not everybody knew everything about James Audubon. Well, not that we'll ever know everything about any figure from the past, but like some of the work that's been done by Dr. Matt Haley and others have shown that not only does he have a questionable history, in terms of enslavement and he also was fraudulent in his work. So once those things are exposed and made public and understood really widely, I think it's tough to maintain that name as, and still maintain credibility.
I think exactly that. And I think that's why the removal of the name brings that into the conversation to really make that publicly known, as you said. So I don't see how you achieve that level of awareness without removing the name.
Yeah.
And the idea that a society about birds, has to be named after a person too, is rather than a region or a bird itself, or, the Paw Natural History Society, which sounds a lot better than, Bob's
Paw Stand.
History. Yeah, or something.
One of the interesting things, I saw a talk by Dr. Matt Haley at the Academy of Natural Sciences last week, and it was a really fantastic talk that he has actually given for the Wilson Ornithological Society, and it was about Wilson, Alexander Wilson, largely hailed as the father, the quote unquote father of American ornithology. And Matt, I hope that this talk, I think it's actually available for people to go back and look at. This particular talk was a collaboration between the Academy of Natural Sciences of Philadelphia, Drexel University, and the Delaware Valley Ornithological Club. And I think it is available for people to see still, and it's possible the Wilson Ornithological Society one is as well. But at any rate, Wilson Ornithological Society invited Matt to give a talk about Wilson. And I think they were really uncomfortable with, with sort of initially what this talk was about. But it was Matt's talk was largely focused on how Wilson really wasn't the first ornithologist, and that there were actually a number of people involved, including a black man that helped him tremendously that never really got much credit, and also women, and that it really was a collective, that it's not one person typically, right, that does this. It really is a collective. It's a group, right? It takes a village, so to speak. But one of the interesting things I thought was that the guy that he worked with, I'm blanking on his name right now, Charles Wilson Peale, who I believe founded the Academy of Natural Sciences, and had and which I think is the oldest natural history museum in the country.
He described the Pealii pattern in storm petrels, which are all the stripy storm petrels. They were called peliiforms.
I didn't.
Before they were, so New Zealand and all these things are being split. There was, he said there was this, he thought it was I think an anomaly, and it was called the Peale's anomaly or something weird.
Wow.
Anyway, Peale.
Yeah, and there's a Peale's form of the peregrine falcon as well. I think those are about the only things that are actually named after him. But at any rate, an interesting character himself. But this is going back to what, early 1800s, late 1700s or whatever. And even back then, as one of the early natural historians of the U.S., he was very much against the idea of naming these animals after people. So there's a lot of people say, well, this is what it's always been named, or, and as we know, the one change is constant. The one constant is change. But if you even look back at somebody else who you could argue was the first ornithologist in the U.S., or the father of American ornithology, that, you could argue that Peale was that, not Wilson, and he was actually against the idea of naming birds after people. So this is not in and of itself necessarily a new idea that, in that case, we're talking about species rather than organizations, but I think you get the idea.
Yeah, it's a complicated and interesting facet of the history that we're living right now in birds. And one of the things that I learned relatively recently was that birds are highly unusual in the proportion of the names that are named after people. Like if you look at insects or other critters, the proportion named for people is much lower. And a really interesting pattern is that within North America, more birds in the West are named for people than birds in the East, because of the expansion to the West by settlers and essentially wanting to give credit to people for these birds that probably were known to the indigenous folks for thousands of years. Then they become, so-and-so's warbler or whatever. And I thought that was an interesting thing too, that there are patterns even within the bird names that imply expansionist colonial attitudes of our past,
We've talked a lot about Hawaii as well, and I think some of the most fascinating, fun, and interesting names are those Hawaiian bird names. They're so distinctive and cool, and it's I'd love more stuff like that.
Are there a lot of indigenous names on record for continental birds?
For North American birds?
Yeah. Like Hawaiian birds, the names are so preserved.
Right.
I think there's a couple birds that have Guarani origin, right?
Well, you mean in South America, but yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
one of them is Sora. I think Sora is a Guarani word, but I remember right.
But Sora? But that's a North American bird.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but I think that's an example of a North American bird with a Guarani.
But Guarani is from South America. How would that make sense?
I don't know, but that was somebody had told me this. I'm just repeating what I'd heard, so I could be incorrect about that.
Yeah,
and Soras
know that
Soras turn up in the West Indies.
Yeah, but that's well north of where that language group would have been.
Really? I thought that there were Guarani in the West Indies.
No, that's Paraguay, northern Argentina, southern Brazil is Guarani.
Okay, I stand corrected.
Yeah. But I do know there are things like Egretta thula, Thula, right, is the snowy egret. Thula it's like a misidentification. Like they named, thinking they were taking a Mapuche native word for the egret, but in fact it was the word for swan. they misidentified the bird somehow, and then they stuck it on to that. There are definitely a lot of names that are indigenous in South America, like Jasana, I think is one of them, and a lot of things. But I was thinking about North America, like what would be
Sora is supposedly evolved from a Native American language, but not Guarani.
Oh, that's cool. And you do wonder if like killdeer might have, because killdeer makes no sense, if it might have come from an indigenous name that then was anglicized to sort of make it make sense in that two English words were involved. That seems like something that could be. I'm sure we're missing a bunch of things here that, like, pinyin maybe. J.
Even if they're not in use in the common name, like, are there records of this?
Yeah,
I have no
think
idea.
there are like actual names that are cataloged in in sort of First Nations names for birds. Yeah, I think there are some lists. That'd be kind of interesting to check them out.
Yeah.
And some of the European language names for our birds are really interesting too. Like if you look at if you translate Norwegian names of our birds to English, some of them are way better than the ones we use.
I often think the colloquial names in Central and South America are much more fun than like I liked the was it white-lined tanager? I think is mal casado, bad marriage, because the males and the females look so different.
Bad marriage.
Yeah, mal casado.
That's funny.
Yeah, or like the trabajador, which is the wren like rushbird.
Yeah,
because it sounds like it's got a little hammer and it's just going tick 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 tick.
Yeah.
Well, this reminds me. I've been on a big book buying binge lately. I've got a huge stack, but I've got a bunch of books from Pelagic Publishing, and one is Lapwings, Loons, and Lousy Jacks: The How and Why of Bird Names. So I'm excited for this.
Wow. I'm sorry. Who is the author of that one?
The author is Ray Reedman.
Okay. Interesting.
And Pelagic Publishing is a UK-based publishing.
Okay. That sounds juicy.
Yeah. I'll let you know when I get to it.
Yeah.
I bet loon is a name that has roots that go... Actually, we think of loon as being loony, but maybe I bet it actually goes further back. Myrrh, that would probably be another one. Myrrh.
I thought that was a French word.
I don't know. But it's not the name that's used in Europe for the bird, right? So
right.
It strikes me as...
Well, yeah, guillemot would be a French word as well. So
yeah. It's like, yeah.
This is a subject we need to delve into more deeply with a proper etymologist who's also an ornithologist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's an etymologist who's an entomologist as well? That would be
wow. And an ornithologist and an otolaryngologist.
Do you know that's why it's called a spelling bee, right? Because the entomologist and the etymologist got together. No.
Oh, Alvaro. Wow.
No.
Wow.
Okay. I just thought that one up on the go.
I was going to say I'm kind of.
Did you?
I'm kind of proud and disappointed of you all at once here. It's pretty good.
Yeah. I know. Sometimes there's a deep level of disconcern that you're like, that was kind of brilliantly awful. Like, I don't know if we should put this guy in jail for that or kind of like, yeah. But.
Yeah. Well, guys, I think we should scoot here pretty soon.
I do have something to show you guys.
Uh-oh.
And Ryan Sanderson, from
great
Indiana.
Great photographer.
Yeah. Birder, great birder, good guy. I guess he's in the records committee, so I guess some people probably don't think he's a great guy because whenever you're in the records committee, you're not But look what he went out on a boat trip, and look what he made for me.
Oh my!
I have my own Nostradamus T-shirt.
Wow,
Oh.
Ryan,
and I didn't see it coming.
Yeah,
believe it or not.
Wow, you couldn't have predicted that.
This one,
yeah,
I could not have predicted this.
Wow, Ryan, that's a thing of beauty. Really,
with little birds on the bottom there.
That's fantastic.
We have fans,
man.
Yeah,
that is something else.
I'm kind of proud of that.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got to wear that. I mean, you got.
I had to turn away because I was shedding a tear at the moment. I didn't want to start a boat trip with that level of emotion.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, you've got to wear it on boat trips now.
I know. So.
Ridiculous.
Oh, it's amazing.
That was a great surprise, I got to say.
That's awesome.
Sometimes somebody just does something, they think it's funny, but it actually is touching in how it kind of, means that they're paying attention to all the silly stuff we do, and we really appreciate that.
Yeah, I wanted to give a couple quick shout outs to some listeners I've had on my Independence Hall bird walks. Tyler from St. Louis just happened to be in town and had been listening to the pod and gave a look and saw that the bird walk was coming. So thanks for coming out to the bird walk. Also, Drew, who was there last week, and Rick, who was there this week. Thanks for coming to the birthplace of America, as I like to call it, Independence Hall. We did a little tour around Independence Hall there. And one of the days it was real hot and sunny and there wasn't as much around, but then some other days there's been some migrants. So nice to have the opportunity to do a little downtown center city urban birding with friends there. So thanks to those who came out, is including Lila as well, who I think came to all three walks. So that was cool. I wanted to give those shout outs. Also, guys, we've got some different stuff coming up that I think we need to let folks know about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're winding down season 3 here. And I think this might be our last sort of roundtable, as we call them. And there are several more episodes still to come. But I think for the most part, at least, they may be a new situation where there'll be kind of one-on-one interviews or one on a couple interviews where one of us interviews a guest or a couple guests about their experiences birding and get to know some different birders. So we're kind of varying the format a little bit there, and that's something you can expect in the next few episodes before we probably will break to some degree before season 4. And we also have a Patreon coming where folks can get a little bit more Lifeless to Birding podcast if they are so inclined, right? So those will be some fun stuff to look forward to.
Yeah. Probably first of the year we'll be rolling out some of this, so keep an eye out.
Yeah.
Hard to believe we're almost at the point. We're talking about the end of the year.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Pretty wild.
And season 4 of the Lifeless podcast.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah. It's wild.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
It's felt more like 10 years, but oh, sorry. Did I just? No, I have.
Some days.
Trying to be jokey.
Yeah. No, it has been super fun and rewarding for us. So thanks to everybody who's been listening. You guys have really made it fun. And yeah, we're looking forward to doing more. Molly, anything you've got coming up that you want folks to know about?
Yes, I have a lot of things. This episode should be coming out a few days before the Frontiers in Ornithology Youth Symposium in Delaware for youth ages 13 to 22 who are interested in careers in ornithology. So we talked about this a lot a few episodes back with Holly Merker. And again, we do have just still a few spots left to fill. So if you're interested in that, check it out. Co-op. We are in the middle of our nominations for new board members, actually. So that closes, I think, in a couple weeks. So the Birding Co-op everything's on the Birding Co-op's website, so you can look into that. And exciting to see some things rolling there, because there are a lot of destinations that we want to build trips around, and different types of co-op activities that are all starting to ramp up at once. And then tour-wise, for both George and Alvaro, if a couple more spots sell in Cuba in December, I'll be helping out with that at Alvaro's Adventures. It's like 12 days, first part of December. And George, we've got spots on the Colombia Central Andes tour that is in early February. So yeah, check those out if you're interested in both. Can't wait to be there.
Excellent. Yep.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Very good.
Al, what about you, man?
In a few hours, I'll be giving this workshop on sparrow identification. And then I'm doing another one. It's all part of my membership site, Birding Your Best Life. Ducks in November. And then pitfalls of gull identification in December. And I'm going to be trying to do these live sessions, hopefully monthly, apart from all the content that's there on the site, including, forums and stuff. And it's kind of picked up steam recently, so I'm glad to see that. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun to just a lot of the talks I used to do, that I can do it through that site of mine. But it is a membership thing, so you can check it out online.
Yeah. Wow, you have a lot of lessons uploaded now. I don't know the last time I'd looked, but when you sent the email that the gall course was complete, or 30 lessons on galls or something?
Yeah,
it's a huge course.
It's huge.
Never would have seen that coming.
It's and the raptors, and the cool thing is, like, when you put it all together as these like little separate lessons within a big course, you can actually upload a new version of each one. I haven't done that yet, but I have that in mind as I learn or do things, and you sort of like almost add to the class or change things as you go. It gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of the, imagery, teaching, whatever. So it's a neat thing.
It's really cool. There's so much information there. It's great.
How about you, George?
Yeah, well, given that we are closing in on the holiday season, I always like to remember to remind folks that these American Birding Association field guides to the states, I think, what have they got, 15 or 20 of those, but now. And Alvaro did the ABA Field Guide to the Birds of California. I did the ABA Field Guide to the Birds of Pennsylvania. They are great little books. And I mean, it was really a lot of fun to write these books, I must say. Like, coming up with fairly short, digestible descriptions of familiar birds was a really fun task. I would encourage folks to check those books out. They make good holiday gifts that are they don't break the bank. And they're good for neighbors, they're good for beginning birders especially, but really for anybody who likes birds. Good to fill out a library. So those are good. I also, of course, would encourage people to go take a look at the hillstarnature.com site. We do have a media section. In addition to the trips and tours, we have a Hillstar News section where there's a couple different articles, including one that I'm just posted about unpacking Colombia. There's a lot of people out there that are interested in Colombia or have been once and are wondering about where their first or next trip should be in the country with the most birds in the world. I'm hoping that this will be a way that people can maybe wrap their head around and start to think about where to begin there. There's also my dad's book review section. My dad, Harry Armistead, has reviewed a number of new books. Well, not necessarily new, a bunch of new books, but also some older books, and there are more coming. So recently he posted a review on The Terns of North America by Cameron Cox, which is a great photographic guide. There's also a review of the North American Flycatchers book, which we discussed here, The New Birds of Europe, 3rd edition, which is a fabulous field guide as well. and the whole first half of that book is really useful for American birders as well. A lot of great stuff there. So anyway, stuff to check out.
And also, Dorian's book, Birding Under the Influence, it's starting to show up in people's mailboxes, and I've heard multiple people independently say it's actually they've enjoyed it or they've read it cover to cover on one sitting kind of thing.
My dad is reading it right now, and I spoke to him yesterday because he's going to write a review for our site for the book as well, and he said, "I'm loving Dorian's book." So
he's even impressed us, this Dorian.
I know. Who thought?
Who would have known?
Yeah.
Who would have known?
Yeah. He was over here the other night to watch the Phillies lose with me. That was good. I was glad I had some company for that one. It was a tough loss, but so anyway, we should run. Thanks everybody for listening. Thanks for the feedback and the fun. Alvaro, Molly, I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.